just going to cannibalize some of this because I didn't make it much. And you just lightly cover it. Some people actually put sand in here because sand, I guess, drains quicker. I mean, there's different formulas and all that, but or this is another case where maybe you would want to have just a little bit of the seed starting stuff because it's lighter. But I just use this, and you know, they're not really going to be finicky. And like I said, I may pat it down lightly like this. Don't squish it, you know. And again, when you're watering it, you know, dump it in there. Questions? We're finally making some progress. We finally got the stuff planted. We're kind of pretty much near the end. I was prepared to go ahead and transplant one of these into the bigger container if you want to see that. But before I do that, I want to talk about, and this doesn't really hold true if you buy them here or some other nursery, because out here, they're already used to the weather. But as seed starters, we have a problem. You know, they're lovely. They, you know, think about what they have. They have nice soil. It's warm. There's no wind. There's no rain blasting on them. There's no bugs eating them. They have a perfect life, pretty much. They're in a pretty good environment. That's not always a good thing, because that means they're not totally really ready for the outside world. And again, when you're buying them out here, they have kind of already dealt with that because they're already used to the weather. So, you know, you got to toughen them up. What does that mean? Well, you want to simulate the environment to some extent, and you want to gradually get them used to it, which is called hardening off, and it's a process. You can put them out there. They may make it. Chances are you're probably going to lose some if you just put them right out into the sun. Why? Because the light energy that's coming from the sun is nowhere near. That's a multitude level higher than even what your strong grow lights are doing. So it's not really burning them, but I mean, it's that kind of thing. They're not used to the wind. So once you got your nice crop of plants going, I didn't bring it. I don't know. Do you have your hair dryer here? No. Okay. If you have an old hair dryer or whatever, you know, some people say, you know, every time you're, you know, go like this. And if you do tomatoes, I mean, your hand smells really nice. I love the tomato smell. You know. Or you just, you know, I'll actually have this sitting out, and, you know, the hair dryer, of course, you got to do it manually and stuff, but, or you have just an oscillating fan going. What are you doing? You're simulating wind. You know, the edge of the plant, you know, the cells and the membranes inside the plant, it needs to stretch and toughen up because that's what's going to happen. They're going to be, you know how mean the winds are around here. So you're kind of doing that. Hardening off is a process of getting them used to the weather. So everybody has their own rule, but usually a minimum amount of time is a week to a week and a half, where you just want to, and of course, unfortunately, you kind of need to be home when you're doing this or have a helper or something. That's just gradually, each day, getting them used to and putting them outside more and more. So for the first 2 or 3 days, you're doing, you know, maybe just 3 or 4 hours and stuff. You are not leaving them out overnight, not right away. You're just kind of getting them used to it. If the weather's nice, actually if it's cloudy, that's even helpful. But you're going to put them out. And if you can, you know, set up some kind of barrier or something, put them in the corner of the yard where maybe the wind is not blowing as much, if possible, or have a box or something around them. The idea is you're just gradually kind of getting them used to it. And so at some point, maybe after a week, they'll be kind of used to it, and you can kind of leave them out in the sun, And if the weather is not going to be really, really cold, then you'll go ahead and leave them overnight. Go and let them sit out overnight. But that's kind of the process. It's kind of a pain, but that will ensure, I think, much better success as far as the amount of them that are, really going to go. So, transplanting them is this may or may not be the real difficult part. What I'll do when I transplant is, got your containers. You'll get a better feel for this as you go along. Particularly with tomato plants, and I'm going to do it with these. These don't really need it, but you'll notice that these are kind of a little tall